So I was totally a Harry Potter kid, which means a lot of life lessons come from Harry Potter. And there's this one scene that stands out to me where Harry is like, "Yo, Dumbledore, why did you turn down Minister of Magic so many times? Like, why did you decline that? You would have been like great at it." Dumbledore, he replies to Harry, and this quote has always stood out to me. "It is a curious thing, Harry, but perhaps those who are best suited to power are those who have never sought it, those who, like you, have leadership thrust upon them and take up the mantle because they must, and find to their own surprise that they wear it well." Today's episode is on reluctant leadership with Joi Alexander, why she took up the mantle, and I don't think anyone is surprised, but she wears it well. This is RT Sidebar. Stay tuned. All right, welcome to RT Sidebar. This is such an exciting day with Joi Alexander, who her leadership team has been on the podcast before with Rodney Beavis. If you remember his voice from Voices of AARC, as well as Stories of Inspiration. We've given shout outs to her team before too, which is kind of exciting. And so it's so great to have her on the show today. Welcome, Joi.
Thank you so much. I'm glad to be here.
Hey, Joy, woo! Welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, so Joi, go ahead and explain a little bit about yourself. Why didn't you want to go into management?
Oh boy. So a long time ago. No. So I've been in RT now for about 10 years, and I have a healthy love and respect for the job and the field. I worked extensively in New York for the majority of my career. And, I really just enjoyed being at the bedside and, the adrenaline rush and just getting the work and dealing with my patients and being there and being able to take care of people. So I never really saw myself progressing into management. And then I kind of had a very toxic management situation in the hospital that I worked in New York. So I wasn't so impressed with management. But then I came to Florida and I got to see a different side of management here at the hospital I'm at currently, where they very much so lead by example and help and step in. And I was so impressed that when the opportunity came for me to step up into management in that situation, I did see some things that I could probably help progress coming from staff at this hospital and seeing things that weren't kind of where they should have been. And I kind of found my niche. I found my place to help progress them and get them even closer to perfection. So that was the reason that I stepped up into management, even though it never really was in my path, so to speak. It wasn't in my goals.
That's a very similar reason why I got into it. Granted, you can't run a respiratory department without staff, but you
Absolutely.
definitely can't run a department without a leader. It just doesn't work. And so as bad as we have it on the staff side, we also have it on the leadership side. People retire, people just walking away from healthcare post-COVID. And so it's either you have to fill a vacancy or, the leader that's there or just left, there were some improvements that could have been made. And if you get that feeling of, if I don't do it, then who will, right? So it's that ownership. So I like that you just stepped into it and you were reluctant about it, right? So it's not that your goal in life, your career goal was to be a leader. This was just, there's a hole, it needs to be filled. I don't see anyone else moving. I can do it. Let's do it. And you went with it.
It's actually a
So
really funny story. So I came to Florida to work in NICU. That's what I wanted to do. I just wanted to work with babies. Let me take care of the babies, leave me alone. And as I was there, I realized just how separate the NICU RTs were from everyone else. sat in the NICU in the Women's Health Pavilion, which is a completely different building from everywhere else. And it was just really separate. And there was no support for them. You know, there was no backup. If something went wrong, if I was at a delivery and something was happening upstairs in the NICU, there was no backup. So I, approached the leadership team about it. I'm like, hey, so if something happens, if I'm stuck in a delivery or if I'm stuck in the emergency room and something happens in NICU, who's my backup? And there was a hesitancy there where it was like, okay, a lot of people don't want to learn NICU. They're afraid of the babies. They're afraid of doing the work. They're afraid of, that situation. It's very uncomfortable sometimes to work in NICU if you're an adult therapist and hands off of babies. So I said, well, we have these team leads. Can we train them to set up equipment or respond to emergencies? Little things like if I'm in a delivery and I need a vent, can you go up there and set it up so that way I'm not trying to do two things at once? And they really liked my idea. And there was a management position available for the night shift manager. And on my anniversary, my husband and I were out bowling, and Chelsea, who is the other manager, she called me and she goes, so, hey, I really, really see a lot in you that I think you would be great in leadership here. And I would love it if you would consider moving into the management position. And I was like, I'm bowling and drinking with my husband because it's our anniversary. And I'm not exactly sober right now. And I was like, you know what? Sure. Yeah, sure. And then the next day when my brain was back and I was like, wait a minute, did I just agree to take a position that I don't? Oh, and the rest is history.
I mean, what better way to make life-changing decisions than when you're drunk, right?
Absolutely.
I mean, and bowling on top of it.
Absolutely.
So when you were just laying there in bed the night before, what's going through your head?
Honestly, I was terrified. Mind you, I had only been at the hospital for 10 weeks. So I'm new to the hospital. I'm new to the state of Florida because I had only been in Florida at that point. That was June, July. So that would have been March. So since March that year. So I'm like, I'm new to the state. I'm new to the hospital. I don't know these people, like not well enough where they're like, well, you just got here. You were just on orientation and now you're a manager. Like there was just so much like, are they going to respect me? How am I going to find a way to connect with them? Usually the way you connect with people is you work side by side with them for a long time and then you step up and they're like, okay, well, we see leadership potential in you. We see that we can trust you. So I'm like, how am I going to build those relationships? And, I've been saying I only want to work in NICU and now, but now you're a manager. So it was like, were you telling the truth? Were you not? Were you trying? So it was like a lot of self-doubt and like, nervousness on my behalf going through my head the week before, really.
So what was your plan before day one, right? So call it day zero. What was that plan going in?
Just to be myself, you either like me or you don't. I was just going to be myself and be who I am and just do all the things that I wanted to see in a manager, all the things that I wanted to see in a leader. I needed to be that. And I needed to be that from day one. I can't, when you work with people and they know your work ethic and they know who you are as a person and they trust you, I just had to I got to come in and I got to show and prove immediately because first impressions are everything, right? And especially when it comes to leadership, people are going to trust you to lead them or they're not. And if you fail them, that's it. You usually don't get a second opportunity. So I just decided that I was going to be myself and be the type of leader that I wanted. So that was the game plan. That was it.
Yeah, I think go ahead, John.
No, go ahead, Matt. No.
Joi, you got thrown into the deep end. And when you're talking about this, I'm like, you know what? You don't learn to do the backstroke when you just hit the water. That's not what you do. Being yourself, that matters.
Absolutely.
Being genuine as a leader, if you're trying to be fake or you're trying to be somebody that you're not, they're going to see right through it.
Absolutely.
So being yourself, that's management 101, I think. That's fantastic. Very cool.
Yep.
So was there anything else because if you come into a department like you did and you move into leadership, was there anyone that kind of wanted it that you just stepped over?
There were a few people actually. And then, those people now work underneath me. So that was something else that I had to prepare myself to deal with. Like, okay, if they get upset, I can't be upset. I gotta understand that, they wanted this position too. They've been here for some time. And now that the position is open, you got this new girl who just came in and kind of slid her way underneath. So I had to, especially show, improve, and strengthen those relationships, because I definitely need you to trust me, because one of them was a team lead. So two of them actually were team leads. So it was like, well, now not only did I usurp your position, now you got to answer to me. So it's like, okay, I definitely had to work and repair those relationships. And that was like goal day. Well, Chelsea went on vacation the first week that I was a manager. So like that first week, right, exactly, Matt, like that first week. And mind you, we were in the middle of the Delta. We were in the middle of the Delta variant. So it was just a lot happening. So, we kind of got thrown into the fire together, and I just had to show, improve, and show them like, yes, I know you may have had some ill feelings because you wanted this position, but I'm here doesn't mean that you will never move up. I will support you and help you and coach you and show you. And if the opportunity arises, we will revisit that. We'll go to bat. We'll figure it out. I'm not just going to come in and just sit here and twiddle my thumbs. And now not only are you upset that I got your position, you're upset that I got your position. I'm not doing anything with it. So no, I had to show them like, no, I plan to be an active and effective leader here. So we're going to work together and we're going to figure it out. And we did eventually. Yeah, it took some time, but we did find our footing.
I can't think of a better way to do that. You have to rebuild that relationship very quickly.
Mhm.
Starting out, you can't have that much toxic environment when you're trying to figure it out too. It's just too much going on.
Right.
So your strategy was spot on. Was there any resentment from any of the other staff, or the new girls got the promotion?
Not from what I could see. I know there was some unhealthy relationships with the person who had left the position. So there was a heavy mistrust there at first. It was like, okay, the person who was here wasn't effective, and now we don't really know you, and we don't know that you're going to be effective. So, it's almost harder to fill those shoes when the person who was there, when the person who you're stepping up for or stepping into was great. Now you've got really big shoes to fill. But when there's that heavy mistrust of the position itself, it's almost harder. So there wasn't any real resentment toward me, but there was just resentment toward the position. So I had to show them I'm not that person. That's not who I am. I'm going to be here. I'm going to crawl through the trenches with you. If you're in the trenches, I'm there right next to you. So, that was just my goal, is just to show them you got to show, improve with no hard feelings.
You hit the nail on the head with resenting the position more than the person.
Mhm.
Because that happens like our last podcast on RN versus RT, right? So RN just, they don't know why they don't respect respiratory, but they just don't, and then vice versa. And it's the same thing in like this situation where you have a position, the person that was in it was not great. And so they think that position, they ran it like they were supposed to, but they didn't.
Right.
You came in and you showed them this is how you run the position. And so that's a feel good story. That is a feel good story. You have to feel good about that.
I do.
So now that you have all these successes under your belt, does it change your mind on leadership and wanting to be a leader?
I am comfortable in my position. I don't think I would go any further into leadership because it would take me too far away from the bedside. I really do enjoy patient care. So currently, as it stands right now, I still get to get out there and help out, and when they're busy, or fill in when someone calls out sick, because I'm not going to have everybody else be swamped because we're down a person. So I get to step up and step in there. So I think getting further away from that would take me further away from the bedside. And again, management is not where I saw myself going, but I'm comfortable in my position here. I feel like I'm most effective in my role. So I think I'll stick it here for a while.
And how long have you been in the role now?
June, July, August will be 2 years.
2 years. Okay. So you've got 2 years under your belt.
Mm-hmm.
Did it play out like you thought it would?
I don't think I really had any kind of thoughts about how it was going to work. Because again, I was new to the hospital. I'm new to all these people. I didn't really know anybody. I'm new to the state. Like the only person I knew here was my sister. So I didn't really have any kind of forefront of how it was going to work, but it's definitely worked out. I'm happy. The people that I work with are, they're happy. We work well together. So I'm excited about the way it did work out. I don't think I really had any kind of forethought about how it was going to work out though.
Okay.
Jonathan, Joy, real quick. So what was the magic sauce? What was the secret sauce there? So obviously you care about people. We know that. But like, what were some of the initiatives? What were some of those trust points? What was that secret sauce that really got that engagement? Because your team's fantastic. So how'd you do it?
Honestly, I this is going to sound so bad, but the pandemic really helped because we got thrown into the fire together. Like we were right in the middle of like our Delta Omicron wave. So we were swamped. We were swamped. We had at one point we had 40 vents running. We had so many vents running, we had to go way out into the back storage room, like in the left of the property, and pull the old 840s out. So I was able to show them that I meant what I said. When I said that I'm going to be in the fire with you, I meant it. And I was able to get out there with them. Like, you're not going to go out and have 20 vents and 150 treatments. That's crazy. I'm going to go out with you and we're going to get it done because you can't be effective if you're swamped. And I'm not just going to sit here and stare at a computer screen while you're swamped. So I got to get out there with them and show them I will crawl in the trenches with you. If you're going to say something, you have to stand on that. That's the only thing. That's the only secret that I can think of is just keep to your word. If I'm going to tell you I'm going to be an effective leader and I'm going to be there for you and I'm going to have your back and I'm going to help you, then I've got to do those things. So I was able to very quickly show them that I meant that.
JB, you and I talked about this in Chicago, during COVID. It either united you or it divided you.
Absolutely.
Leaders stepped up or they stepped out. There was, Joy, why? Like, COVID's your common enemy, right? So speak to that. Speak to how being a servant leader helped you step up during a time of need like that.
So I spent the majority of the first wave of COVID in New York. We had no clue what we were doing. People were dying left and right. They were dying quickly. We didn't know what this virus was. We had 475 ventilators running. We had 10 people on a shift with 475 ventilators. Our leaders were in Florida. They ran. They were gone. There was no leadership in the hospital. They were gone. They would Zoom in, like how we're doing right now. They would Zoom or call from their safe space. We were alone. And it sucked big time because we did not know what we were doing and we had no direction and no leadership. And it was just so bad. And it made people not only run from the hospital, they ran from the profession. So when I came here, I absolutely was not going to do that because I've been on the other side of that. I've been the therapist that had nobody. I'm drowning by myself and my leaders are chilling out in St. Augustine in their summer home. So when I got here, no one in our generation knows what a pandemic is like. We've never been through one, So nobody really had any kind of clue what we were going to do. How do we go forward? Where's the path? There's nobody cut down those trees for us. So when I got here, we kind of had no choice but to we're gonna come together and we're gonna get through it together, or this is gonna separate us and it's gonna keep us separated. So I'm not gonna do that to them, because New York got hit way harder than Florida did. So I got that. I've got that on my back. I already know how we're gonna get through it. So let me help you. Let me show you. Let me lead you. Let me show you the things that let me share my knowledge with you. So I think me being there and just all of us just coming together, and Rodney and Chelsea being there, and they already trust them. So it's like, okay, well, if Rodney and Chelsea trust her and she's here and she's doing the work, let's just see what this is about. So we just kind of just huddled down and got through it.
What was it like to manage straight out of the door with your team? Was there any hurdles? Like, I always say getting into management, saying no is very difficult. And I don't mean like, no, you're going to take that patient. No, I'm not going to give it away. I mean, like, no, you can't go on vacation with your family. No, you can't have this day off to go to your, or, I need you to go to do this. I need you to go do that, and delegating workout. Those are very difficult tasks, especially during COVID when people were busy. What was that like for you?
So to say no to someone, it's the summer, school starting, they want to get that last vacation in with their kids before they go back to school, or Christmas is coming and all these other things, Thanksgiving. To say no, like, it's heartbreaking. These people had plans. So I had to first show that, yes, I completely understand. I can't go on vacation. We're not going anywhere. None of us are going anywhere. We're going to get through this. We're going to get through it together. So it's no right now, but we'll revisit it. When we get on the other side of this, we'll figure out a way to make up for it. If you've got to do Christmas in July, or if you got to take them on vacation, or if I got to come in and work so you can go on vacation when we get through this, then so be it. It's no. And then you have to give them an opportunity to grieve their own losses. Like, yes, it is no right now. And I understand that that's frustrating for you. So I'm going to give you a chance to work through that, because the no is not going to change. But let me help you find the outcome. Let me help you find the better way. Because unfortunately, right now, it is no. But eventually it will be yes. And I will find a way to make that yes be in a manner that you're comfortable with. We'll figure it out together. And that's what we did. So, if I had to come in and work a couple night shifts so that the person who didn't get to go on their already pre-planned vacation got to go when they could, then so be it. That's how you keep your staff. You show them, I'm here for you. I can't expect you to go out and do a job that I'm not willing to do myself. So you can go on vacation and I'm going to do your work.
Well, that's a fantastic way to manage time off, because as much as it's needed, it's very difficult to balance the hospital department and then your staff. I mean, it's very, very difficult. How about delegation? Was there any tactics you used to help with that?
So the good thing about the hospital system that I work for now is they are very good at giving you tools about delegation and servant leadership, and how to have people be comfortable taking on more responsibility. Let me show you that I'm going to delegate this task to you. This is going to be your task. But let's sit down and talk about how you want to approach that task. You find those people that are willing to take on responsibility, right? I'm not going to ask someone that I know is not going to take on responsibility to do it, because they're going to do it because I'm their manager, but they're not going to do it because they want to. So now they're going to, it's not going to be done appropriately. They're probably not going to enjoy it. Find the people that will enjoy taking on extra tasks. So even if it's a volunteer situation, I need a volunteer to do this. And then we sit down and we talk about how we're going to do it. This is how you're going to take on this task. Perfect example, we combined 2 ICUs into one. Our CSU and CCU combined into one ICU for CVICU. And that required moving a lot of stuff. They moved to an entirely different building, an entirely different unit. So there was like a joint task, basically nurses, RTs, management, leadership. How are we going to do all of this together so the move is swift and easy? And okay, so let me get my people involved. This is a task. We have to figure out how to move these 2 units and combine them into one. As RTs, we need to make sure we've got flow meters on the wall, that there's suction in every room, and we've got to make sure that we've got tanks there and we've got equipment set up. So the people that I know like are those are my storage people, those are my pat racks, those are my neat freaks. You know what I mean? Those people, those are the ones that I grab, like, hey, we're gonna set up this new storage unit, we're gonna set up this new storage room. I know that you are really good about, space and storage and sectioning and getting everything together, and organization is that's your strong skill. So I need your help because I suck at organization. I am not good at it. If you look in my closet, it's a complete mess. Nothing is in order. So those are the people that I roped in, and I help them. Like, I know that this is your strong suit, so I need your help with this. And they come in and they feel appreciated. Like, oh, this is my good thing, and you want me to help you, and that's good. So they come in and they do it, and that was great. So delegation became really easy when you figure out the people who the task and the people who are really good at that task, because usually they do it because they enjoy it.
Yeah, I agree. There's a meme that I really like to send to people, though. It says that bosses reward their hardest working employees by
With more
giving them
work.
more work, right? And so I always wanted to avoid that really much, like as much as I could. So I like to spread it around, but it's very difficult when you have people like that that want to do those extra tasks. So what did you do for that group of people that were doing things above and beyond?
Food
Nice.
is a motivator. Food. I like to bake, so I bake cakes and cookies and cupcakes, and we buy pizza, and I will feed you. If you're going to
Nice.
come in, I will feed you. Trust me.
Well, that's helpful. Yeah, I guess I should have tried that tactic. Um, yeah, I mean, and it is. It's all strategies. Okay, so now you're in leadership. You got a good handle on your team. Now you have to partner with the other managers and leaders from around the hospital. What was that like for you?
So Chelsea and I just kind of fell into it. Like, we just found a groove, and it was really easy, and we meshed so well. So I was shocked at how easy we found to get our knitting together. Um, she's amazing. Like, she's me. We have the same personality, we have the same work ethic, we have the same ideas about leadership. And the same is true for my boss, because my boss is very much a servant leader. So that our core team came together really nicely, and it was very easy, and I was actually shocked at how easy it was. As far as leaders outside of our department, like nursing leaders, and however, again, especially the relationship between RTs and RNs, they have to trust that you know what you're doing. So, sometimes you gotta swallow your pride and show them, yes, I am smart, I can do this job, this is my area of expertise, and I'm very good at it. So I had to show them, yes, I'm new here. You have not seen my face very often, especially since I spent the first 12 weeks in a completely different building, in a completely different unit, um, in a completely different patient population. I can do this job. I had to run down my resume, I can't tell you how many times, just because, yes, I know that I'm a new face and I need to show you that I can do this, and that's fine. And we were able to build those relationships. And I relied heavily on Chelsea because she had already established a lot of those relationships. So she was able to kind of finagle me in there too, because they already trusted her. So that was definitely a big help.
So what kind of strategies are we talking? Were they similar to how you looped in your staff, or are they different when it's a peer-to-peer relationship?
People are people, and people will learn to trust you as you show up and show out. You got to show and prove. So it's the same. It really is.
Joy, real quick.
Mhm.
Last week we had RTRN relationships, and we talked about what it's like when you like the people you work with.
Mhm.
You speak so highly of Chelsea, so highly of Rodney. How does it make you, and you've been in good situations and bad, but how does it personally make you feel as a leader when you go into a situation with people that you actually enjoy being around? What does that feel like in your
It's
soul?
family, you know? It's very much a family environment. We're a little bit of a dysfunctional family sometimes, but very much a family environment. It makes the hard work so much easier when you trust and like the people you work with, you know? People don't generally leave bad jobs. Bad jobs meaning hard jobs, a lot of work, heavy loads. They leave bad situations, they leave bad management, they leave places where they don't feel loved and trusted and supported and respected. That's when they leave. So because we were able to create a situation where our people feel trusted and loved and supported and respected, they stay and they kind of tough it out. So us having, if me, Chelsea, and Rodney are at odds and we can't get along, why would they trust us? You know? So it was very easy for us to kind of just come together and build up that relationship. And yeah, we hung out a lot after work too. There was a lot of trips to World of Beer.
I always find that the most helpful though. That's when you really get your good relationships. My last hospital, we had a leadership retreat, and I still talk to those people. I haven't worked there in over a year, and I still talk to them a couple times a week. You really build those relationships outside of work because it's no longer work. It's the relationship, and most of the time that's the most important because then it makes the work easier. So
Absolutely.
that's a very good strategy. Okay, so now you have your relationships down. Did you have any initiatives that you wanted to do right out of the door?
Oh yeah, my first initiative was to get those team leads trained to help out in NICU. That was the whole reason I wanted the position to begin with. I did not like how separate the NICU and PICU therapists were from everyone else. They don't, they're in a whole new world, and the only two people they have to rely on is each other. So if one's busy or one's in the emergency room and one's at a delivery and this is happening, where's your help coming from? So my first initiative was to get my team leads trained. If you're going to be a team lead here, you got to be able to go and help out in every single unit in this hospital. And that includes the NICU. If they call you and they say, hey, I'm stuck at a delivery, I need you to go and just do my rounds because I'm going to fall behind. You can't say, oh, I don't know how to work in the NICU. I can't do that. That's not how that works. So it was a lot of, trust building, because again, people are afraid of babies. I'm going to be here and I'm going to help you. And our women's health coordinator was amazing in stepping up, and he and I had to come together and find our niche so we could train the team leads. Like, this is how you set up a NICU vent. This is how you set up a bubble CPAP. This is how you set up a NICU high flow. This is how you're going to do rounds in the NICU. This is how you support your PICU staff. You're going to be a leader here. You're a team lead. That makes you a leader. So you need to lead. And the way that you lead is by serving. So if they're busy and they need your help, you need to get over there and serve them. So that was my first initiative. We got that done, and we got it turned around pretty quickly too.
Yeah, I mean, you're hitting all the points. You're, right out of the gate, you're doing a lot of good work. I did the same thing. I had a lot of sick calls
Mhm.
in my last hospital. So I told the staff, look, I don't know who's going to show up today, and I don't know who's going to show up tomorrow, but I know that all these areas need to be covered. And so you need to know how to work every area because we're not going to be weak because you can only play cards with the hand you're dealt with. And you guys, guess what? You guys got to learn it all. So, I mean, again, that's a patient safety issue right there. So that was a good one. Did you do any hospital-wide initiatives or did you follow that up with something else?
I don't think we did any hospital-wide initiatives. Chelsea is really big on getting the A line started, so that's what we've been working on hospital-wide. Um, my goal is to sneak respiratory into the ECMO program, because I did ECMO in New York, and that's where my heart is too. So my goal is to finagle us into there. So that's what I'm working on now.
Nice. That's a heck of an area
I,
of the
I
hospital
want
to get into.
I want my staff to have the gold standard, get to the highest point of respiratory. I want all of them to be able to operate at the best level, the highest level. You can do everything. You can put in an A line, you can help with ECMO, you can run that pump, you can intubate those patients, you can transport those patients, you can transport those babies, you can do all the things that fall in your scope of practice and be good at it, because then you write your own ticket. Do all the things, get proactive and do all of it. And many
we
of them
call
are
that
so
gold.
excited to do it.
Yeah, we call that gold in the hospital setting, because there's not a lot of hospitals that do that training, because there's a cost associated with it.
Right.
But have you monitored your staff retention after this? Because I'm sure no one's going to leave now.
That's the goal. That is the goal, to keep them.
Yeah.
Keep them happy, keep them healthy, keep them learning, always be learning something new. When people can't learn anymore, then they feel like they've got nothing else. There's nothing else I can do here. And I don't ever want that to be the thing. I don't want them to say, I got to move on because there's nothing else for me to do here. I've done it all. As we can take on more responsibilities and learn more tasks, even if it's just assisting with tasks, let's do it. Let's get our foot in every single door. Get them all.
And you get home cooking on top of it. I mean,
yeah, and I will
that.
cook for you. I will feed you. I promise.
Okay, so you have enough time in the seat. Now, the Joi from day zero, what advice would you like to have given her?
You got this. You're scared. I know it. I know you are nervous. It's new people. It's a new situation. I'm the only Black woman here in this leadership position. How are people going to respond to you? I know, but it's going to work out. You've got this. I know you're nervous, but you got this. Just be yourself and you can do it.
And do you think that would work for everyone? I mean, that's very similar to the way I psyched myself up, but
absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to be yourself. You have to be your true and authentic self, because most people, especially RTs, because we're usually at the bottom, we usually can sometimes get the bottom of the barrel. We're really good at seeing through people's nonsense. We're good at seeing through your imposter, so most of us will see that imposter real quick. So be your true and authentic self first. Show people that this is who I am and I stand on my word. And they will fall in line and they will learn to trust you, especially if you show them that not only am I willing to lead you, I'm also willing to serve you.
Have you set up a succession plan yet? Oh, sorry, Matt.
No, I was just going to say, I'm going to bet right now that this won't be her last management job.
No,
This is it. I'm done.
She says she's not. She's moving up, whether she
Yeah.
likes it or
I'm
not.
done.
I can see it, right, JB? I mean, that's all I see. I see Joi, who really cares about people, which is the most important thing in leadership. And you're going to eventually somebody's going to go, hey, Joi, I have this special project, would you like to do? Okay, because you're going to help everybody. And then, oh, by the way, I'm going to give you this new title. And now I see it coming. I see it coming. So
yeah, totally. The title outside your door, they're just going to put it on with Velcro so they can just rip it off and just keep putting on another one.
It's awesome.
It's going to happen.
We'll see.
I mean, but you have been successful so far. So what are you doing for succession planning? You said that there was a couple of team leads that were trying to get into your role. Now, do you take those two and train them to be where you're at? I mean, sooner or later, you're going to need a day off, right? Or a vacation.
Absolutely. I have some amazing team leads. Where we were talking about, like, Rodney's right now trapped in Wyoming under snow. And I've been working from home because I just had a small surgery, and Chelsea was working from home because she was sick. So our team leads really, really stepped up these last 2 weeks, because we pour into them and we show them, like, yes, we are the managers, but you are also leaders. So if we need you to step up, we empower them to make decisions, run it by me, but make those decisions. Talk to me about them. Tell me what you're thinking. We pour into them if you've got suggestions, put them out there. Let's talk about it. There's something you want to do. Let's do it. Let's talk about it. Let's find a way to get it done. If you encourage people And I say this because this is kind of what Chelsea did to me. If you encourage people and you see that spark in them and you grow it and nurture it and pull it out of them, that's how you get good leaders, by showing them, like nurturing them in this stage. So many of them, like we have another hospital that's supposed to be opening at the end of 2023. And one of our team leads is he's on tap to take that role. And I'm excited for him for that. I'm excited for him to be able to move up.
That kind of segued to my next question I was going to ask about mentors. I didn't have great mentors. I had some, but I had some pretty bad ones. Who's your mentor? I can kind of guess from how much you've talked about her, but like, who's your mentor?
Definitely Chelsea and Rodney.
Okay.
I look up to them in a way that, because Chelsea got thrown into her position too. It's a really funny story. You should have her tell you one day. It is a hilarious story how she ended up being thrown into her position. But she handled it like a boss. Like she's just an amazing person. And Rodney, I look at him, he's like, he reminds me so much of my dad, and I see so much in him that it's like, oh, wait, I can go to you about like not just work, but life. Like he's just an amazing person. He's always willing to help. Like it's easy for me to be a servant leader because I have one. I have one who shows me every single day what it means to be a servant leader.
So what are those conversations? What are the conversations like over beer with your mentors?
Oh, we won't discuss that online. This is being recorded. We're not doing that. Nice try.
What are the conversations that you can say? I mean, they have to be personal, or are they about careers, or what's it like?
We talk a lot about where we see this department going and what we want for our people and how we want to keep them and keep them happy. We talk a lot about, supporting each other and us being happy, and so, if there's something that we want to learn. And Rodney, I tell him all the time, like, stop signing me up for classes. He always signs us up for this leadership class, that leadership class. And I'm like, oh, stop signing me up for stuff. But it always works out. Like he signs us up for things that he knows will nurture us and improve what we already have. So, we just talk about, things like that, things that I can discuss. We talk about, where we see this department going and how we want to get there collectively as a team. How do we do this?
Matt, did you have any good mentors?
I did. I had some not so good ones. I had a mentor say something almost exactly, Joi, what you said. Okay, so servant leadership for me was turning the hierarchy upside down. That the patients are at the top, not the CEO. And when I really started to think about that, it really it opened up new possibilities, shared governance, getting respiratory protocols, getting more involved. And what it did is it helped me elevate, because somebody was elevating me. It helped me elevate my people. And that's what I'm hearing from you, Joi, is a good mentor can go a long way. Being around people that you respect and love, like a family, goes a long way. Absolutely. So, but I also had ones that go, I'm not going to be like that guy or gal. But it's good stuff. I mean, that's definitely how it was for me. And I think it's probably why I'm here today. Joi, I mean, Chelsea and Rodney's why you're here today. Mm-hmm. I could thank David Sorrentino for being mine, or Susan Ferrito, who you guys, Anna knows because she jumps on the sidebars sometimes. Those are the people that help mold me. So I think that's awesome.
Yeah, even when I was in New York, like I said, even though it was a very toxic situation, one of my managers was amazing, Eliza Batista. I praise her up and down. She was definitely the first servant leader that I had. She was the one who, looked at me and was like, why are you out here? Like, not to say that floor therapy is not important, but let's get you into this ICU, and let's get you into the ECMO program, and let's do this and let's do that. You have all these things and you're so smart. Let's come on, let's do this. You want to learn these things. Let me teach you. And she nurtured me and she grew me, and she just basically just took me under her wing, and she was amazing. She was absolutely amazing. So I definitely had a lot of good leaders. I've had some bad ones too, but you can learn from bad leaders. You know, you learn to, I won't do it like that. That's not it. So.
Yeah, my favorite line from the worst leader I ever had, I still tell people because it's funny. She said, I will not ask you your opinion because I don't want to give you the false hope that it means anything. And, and that was, I still laugh about that one. That was great. But
That
like
is
you,
horrible. JB, that is
no,
horrible. Oh my God.
no, no. I say it's great because it made me understand who I don't want to be with my staff.
Mhm.
You know, as a leader, I understand I don't want to be with, I don't want to be someone like that. And it's funny, when she said it, she actually said it twice. She said it to me first, and then she said it to my staff second. I laughed both times. I mean, I was in tears cracking up because it was so bad. What else could you do, right? I mean, I was laughing. But then I've had good leaders that do exactly what you did. You know, we're short staffed. They grab, you know, a bunch of nebs and go do vent checks and treatments and help out that way. So, you know, as bad leaders, you don't want to work for them, but it is a great educational moment when you have a bad leader, because you learn a lot from them, and it's basically don't do what they do. But it's good though, you see it, right?
Yeah.
Because if you go into management or leadership a little cocky, a little egotistical, once you see someone who's like that and it's magnified, you're like, oh, I better not do that. I better calm down. I better like bring myself down and talk to people like I should talk to people. So it's educational.
Jonathan, that's an interesting one because I'll admit it. I was a little bit of a cocky leader at the beginning. And
No,
then
you?
no, never. What is that, JB? Come on, man. Come
I
on.
had to. I had to.
But my mentor goes, hey, yeah, calm it down a smidge. And I'm like, well, what do you mean? He goes, you're a little over the top. And my wife will probably tell you I'm a little over the top too. But that's just, you know, I needed somebody to have the guts to say, because giving bad feedback's tough sometimes. So I just thought it was funny.
So, Joy, did you read anything or research anything or before, during, now about leadership that you use?
Well, again, that's something that I can chalk up to just a great hospital system. Every new manager has to go through new manager training, and new manager training is always, it's like surrounded around the hospital service standards. So I didn't even have to go and just do it on my own. They gave it to me. Like everything that I had questions about, there was a class or, you know, some sort of video learning that I could do that was available to me. Like there were so many like places to just pull all this information from. And they even put new managers with managers who've been in for a while in different departments. So let me sit with you and see how you do things. So this hospital system just loves on new leadership and encourages it. So it was very easy for me to just find those things and learn from them. I've done some research on my own, but you know, a lot of the things that I've learned about just being in leadership, I've either learned from other leaders or, you know, just training in the hospital and management training in the hospital, because they're very, very big on servant leadership, which is amazing. And I think that's why there's so many amazing leaders in the system.
That's great.
Joy, when you prioritize leadership, do you think it translates to outcomes?
Absolutely. Especially when you have to not just prioritize leadership, but prioritize leadership in a manner that makes it, yes, I am a leader, but I also have to be there and support people. You know, like I am a leader, but I can't just lead by words. I have to lead by example. I have to lead by getting out there. Sometimes people get so caught up on that role, like that word manager, you know, oh, the manager's coming, or I don't want to work day shift because I don't want to work with the managers. Like that creates a stigma of leaders that we got to work hard to break. You can't just be the manager that nobody wants to see come around, because you're going to be nitpicky, or you're going to be micromanaging, or you're going to be a helicopter, or you're going to be this person. So I think you need to nourish leaders, especially new leaders, because a lot of new leaders have a misconception of what leadership is.
Yes.
So nourishing new leaders and teaching them appropriate leadership, leading by example, servant leadership, as for example, that's how you get those positive outcomes, is by teaching appropriate leadership. Because sometimes people don't realize just what leadership actually means. They think, oh, you're going to become a manager and it's going to make your job easy because you don't have to do the hard work anymore. No, I got to do your job and my job. And I got to do them both very well.
You know what I tell, because I've hired several new managers or new directors, and I always tell them one thing: when you're going from bedside to management, when you have a busy day bedside, you're physically tired. When you have a busy day in management, you're mentally tired. When you do a combination, you're dead. I mean, you're going to be physically and mentally dead. But that's kind of the difference there. And so when they see the manager in the office, they think, well, they're not doing what I'm doing. I consider what I do work. They're not physically doing what I do, so they must not be working. And you get that a lot in the nursing and respiratory and radiology and all that. What you consider work is what you do. Everything else if someone else is not doing what you're doing, they're not working. So they kind of get that mentality. It happens. But RT Sidebar, we like to help and promote our field. So what advice would you give to someone who's riding that fence on should I or shouldn't I be a leader?
First, I would say you have to trust in you have to figure out whether or not this is really what you want. If leadership, because leadership again is not, I get to just tell people what to do all day. I have to take responsibility for someone else, for a lot of other people, because if someone in my department is not doing what they're supposed to do, yes, it looks bad on them, but it looks worse on me as their leader. So not only do I have to encourage them, I have to take responsibility for where they may have shortcomings. You have to find people's shortcomings and help them overcome them. So sometimes management it's not always sunshine and rainbows. It's not always come to work at 9 and leave at 5. So if you're not willing to get in there and get dirty and, be an actual leader and a teacher and an encourager and a nurturer, then this is not for you. There is way more to management and leadership than just clocking in and clocking out every day, sitting at a computer, putting a schedule together and then going home, because it's not what it is. And if you decide that leadership is where you want to go, and that's the path you want to walk, you have to understand that as a leader, you are also a servant. You have to serve your people. That's how you build relationships. That's how you build trust. You can't just be, oh, well, you've got 15 vents. I'm going home. Have a great day. That's not how it is. You've got a ton of work to do. I'm going to be right here with you. I will be here and I will help you however I can, because you can't be effective in your job if you are overwhelmed, because not only physically, but mentally as well. I got to look at the whole person. I can't just say, oh, well, you've got a broken foot, you can't do anything. Sucks. But, oh, well, someone in your family just passed away and you don't necessarily get bereavement days for them, but you're not in the greatest of moods. Your dog died, whatever. People have lives outside of work, and their lives outside of work will affect how they come to work. So I can't just be like, oh, management can't just be like, oh, sucks to suck. Sorry, you got to leave that at the door. We have to encourage people and help them work through their problems. You're a manager, you're a nurturer, an encourager, you're a therapist, you're a venting board, you're a whiteboard for opinions, you are everything. You are everything. And you have to be able to incorporate all of that and still be able to live your life, because your life can't just be about the job either. So there's a lot of, things that come together. You got to wear a lot of hats. but it's doable. And when it's done right, it's very rewarding. So I guess that would be my tidbit.
I've heard it explained many a times, but not as well as you just explained it. That was a great breakdown, emotionally, mentally, of being a successful, good manager to your team. I thank you for that. That was fantastic.
Yeah.
Matt, so what have you learned today? What are our take homes?
So first off, if I'm going back to the bedside, I'm going to Tampa and I'm working for Joi. That is the
We
first
have a
takeaway
Mickey
I have.
position. Come on in.
I love
Come
my
on
Mickey.
in.
I like my little tiny babies. I love them. But the one thing probably the biggest thing that you said is you can do it. I know a lot of leaders, they're just like, I'm not quite sure. I have a really good friend of mine that's going through a tough time. You could do it, Amy Pasquarella. You can do it. You're a fantastic leader, but be authentic, be yourself. I thought that was a huge thing. Like, holy cow, I don't have to reinvent the wheel, just be me. I think that's a great way to start. What I also love is mentoring new people. We need to have a good pipeline of fresh leaders. And if you prioritize leadership, you're going to get great leaders, and you're going to get great outcomes, and you're going to get great respiratory therapists, and you're going to take good care of your patients. So a lot of it starts with that philosophy of leadership that you have with servant leadership. And the last thing is your positive psychology. Encourage your talent. There's what I got from you, Joi, is everything about your people. You know their birthdays, their kids are on the football team. Those things go a long way. We talked about the A through F bundle. F is for family. Well, F is for family here in your department. So those are my big, huge takeaways. I know we're going to wrap up. I want to have a big shout out to you, Joi. We have another amazing leader coming on in 2 weeks. Stephanie Johnson. We call her the fixer because she fixes things in a great way. Another great woman leadership. Anna, you've been putting together these awesome women leaders. I love it so much. I'm learning so much. So let's just finish up with some shout outs. Anna, I'm going to start with you. Take it away.
Yeah. No, and I also wanted to highlight, I met Rodney once and we had a mentorship conversation, and he talks the entire time about like his kids. Every time that I opened up a little bit of vulnerability, he added an example about his kids, and he met me like with that. So I can imagine like your conversations with him and those drinks that you've had after hours. And when I first met you, you were you had a nurse who was shadowing you, and you were showing, and I was like in awe of you and Chelsea, like the energy that was within the department, and I felt so included. So just like huge thanks to you, to Chelsea. We've mentioned her so many times today, so we have to bring her on the podcast. Ashley's another amazing like woman on your team. She's incredible, great RT. She's a little camera shy, or mic shy, so it'd be great to have her on. Rodney too, though. Like, I don't know, it's such a privilege in our position, Matt Butler and I, that like we get to go to hospitals all over the country, and it's so awesome. But we get to see like such different cultures within like one day, and we can see the different cultures within different shifts, and it is so cool. So I really mean that, like, it's an awesome place that you're at. My first shout out, I will segue this. My first shout out is to a great RT department, Houston Methodist, down obviously Houston, Texas. Shout out to Darla and Rosie on their first RT sidebar listen. And thank you so much for a great day yesterday. Butler.
And then happy birthday to Aaron Hayes, Brian Swain, and the mayor, Casey Payne. Joi, do you have anyone you'd like to give a shout out to?
Well, I gotta shout out my girl Chelsea. She's my right hand, of course. And Rodney for always supporting me and being a leader. My friend and old manager Eliza Batista in New York for loving on me and showing me everything and making me do the work. And also, like Anna said, to Ashley, because I'm coming for you next, girl. You are next. You are next up. You don't know it yet, but I see so much in you, and I plan to nourish and encourage that. You are next.
Matt.
I want to give a quick shout out first before I get into my real one. Jonathan Butler just drove halfway across the country to his new home. Congratulations, JB, on the trip. We're excited for you. Don't get pulled over anytime soon. But I also want to give a huge shout out to Lisa Kiner and Vanessa Murrow. JB and I will be down in July at the Texas Society for Respiratory Care talking about leadership. Check out our good friend JJ the RT on TikTok. Fantastic guy. He's going to help us with leadership. But can't wait to be in Texas in July. Wait. Texas in July?
Oof.
Oh, it's going to be hot. It's going to be hot. Anna?
And shout out to Daniel Klesse, also at Memorial Herman in Texas. He hooked me up on Monday. So just sending some love to clinical education. If you have something worth celebrating, there is a link in the show notes. We'd love to celebrate you on the podcast. That is really all the time we have for today. If you know of someone, right, like Ashley, a reluctant leader out there, send them this pod. Just send them this episode, see what they think. Let's start the discussion. Let's nurture those leaders out there. Thank you all so much. We'll see you next time. Vapotherm does not practice medicine or provide medical services or advice. Any clinical recommendations provided herein are solely those of the speaker. Practitioners should refer to the full indications for use and operating instructions of any products referenced before use. The team behind the sidebar are employees of Vapotherm, and our guest is not compensated.